Hello, Virgo rising. This is your 2023 astrological forecast. And for you, what a very interesting year indeed it will be. And to start off, we have the planet Mercury, the planet of communication, in your fifth house of children's interests, speculation, fun, and anything to do with your creativity, self expression, and hobbies. And it is indeed retrograde Mercury until January 18th. So, right now, Virgo rising, you may feel a little bit held back with these interests. Maybe you wanted to take that vacation that you've had to put on a back burner because of work interests, or maybe some communication with the kids or the grandkids has been a little bit uncertain, or maybe that hobby that you wanted to take up. Well, that will have to be put on hold too. But don't worry, Virgo rising, on January 18th, when Mercury goes direct in Capricorn, all these interests will clear up. You will be able to express yourself clearly. All connections and communication with the kids and grandkids will go really well. And hey, all those hobbies that you wanted to move forward with will begin once more. Then the next most important area for you for Mercury in 2023, Virgo rising, will be Mercury in the sign of Aquarius, and that will be April 3rd. It will move into the sign of, I'm sorry, not Aquarius, Taurus, that is, correction, Virgo rising in the sign of Taurus. And then it will flip back retrograde on April 21st until May 14th. And then on June 11th, Mercury goes into the sign of Gemini. Whew, that's a long trek for Mercury. So, yes, on April 3rd, Mercury will enter the sign of Taurus. And what is this for you? Yes, indeed, Virgo rising. Well, with Mercury in your ninth house, it's all about long distance travel and communication. But this year also, Uranus will be in your ninth house with Mercury. So some of your beliefs will change, and you may want to be more free when it comes to different outlooks and free to say what you have on your mind. Because with Uranus there, and then later on in the year with Jupiter in Taurus, it's all about gaining new air. Some of your beliefs will change now. Yes, indeed, Virgo rising. And it's a time when you will want to travel. And sometimes, yes, Virgo rising with Mercury there, you will say some very shocking and unexpected things. People will take aback at what you have to say. But this is all part of your change right now and growth with Uranus connecting up, and especially during the time with Mercury. It's also going to be a time that you want to go back to school or do some of that notorious Virgo research. But nonetheless, you may also find it's a time that some of your research on a special project or some of your educational pursuits will be also rather unpredictable right now. But nonetheless, with Uranus there, Virgo rising, it's certainly the time to speak your mind, take some of those memorable trips, although do be cautious. Yes, on some of those trips, especially during the time of Mercury's retrograde phase. You don't want to get into any travel snafus and just seize up some organization and plans before any important trips right now Virgo rising. And then we've got Mercury, the communicator, going in your 10th house of your ambitions. Yes, indeed. On June 11th, Mercury then goes into the sign of Gemini until June 26th. So, this is not only about travel right now for you, Virgo rising, it's about, well, looking into different forms of work and maybe traveling with your work because Gemini, Virgo rising, is a mutable sign just like you. So you will be developing all kinds of interests and, yes, travel with all kinds of careers. Maybe you want to make that hobby into a more focused and important career interest now. Or maybe Virgo rising, you are going to look in to many sources of income because you've got Mercury, the communicator, in your 10th house. But certainly you are communicating what else? That you want that raise or you want that greater position at work. But certainly all forms of communication with regards to your aims and ambitions are favored now, Virgo rising. Yes, indeed. Then we move to the love planet of Venus. Yes, indeed, Virgo rising. And Virgo, for you, Virgo rising, Venus in the planet of love this year will be very important. Why? Because it's in your natal seventh house. And the seventh house is of partnerships, it's of our communications with the public and connecting with certain legal affairs you may have to deal with this year. Also, because Venus, the planet of love, will meet up with wonderful, compassionate Neptune this year. And the time for Venus in Pisces will be on January 26th until February the 20th. So that time will be very important for you because you will be really relating to your significant other, or you will find the other side of Venus with Pisces and with Neptune, that there is confusion or uncertainty with regards to your partnerships or legal matters or dealing with the public right now, Virgo rising. But nonetheless, with sweet Venus elevated in the sign of Pisces with your seventh house, that's wonderful for really sharing and caring with all your love interests with your significant other. Now it will be about depth and really opening up and really communicating on such a very loving and considerate manner right now. And with Neptune right there, you could meet or be with the love of a lifetime. Yes, indeed, Virgo rising. Or it may mean that there is an uncertainty connected within your relationships or legal concerns. But with your Virgo sense of analytical and dissemination, you will figure out just which way this Venus in Pisces will go. Yes, indeed, another important time for you, Virgo rising. Yes, indeed. Then we have Mars, the planet of action, which, by the way, Virgo rising will go direct during the early part of 2023. In fact, Mars, the action planet, will be in the sign of Gemini on your go get 'em 10th house of career ambition, and it will be direct on January 12th. And yes, for the latter half of 2022, Mars has been in Gemini, Virgo rising for quite some time. And during its retrograde phase, Virgo rising, Mars may have been rather confusing for you. And especially with the square off with Neptune, there were times where you were uncertain if you were in the right career or job. Maybe some of your communication with your business associates was rather confusing, or there were mix ups. But now, on January 12th and until March 25th, Mars, the action planet, will be direct. And there goes that word again with travel. You will be going to all kinds of places and, yes, seeing many faces during this time, this finishing up time of Mars in Gemini. Yes, indeed, Virgo rising. But you will be communicating clearly, and hey, this might be a time not only are you traveling for your work and maybe getting into some new forms of careers and jobs and so on, because Gemini, kind of like your rising sign, is a mutable sign. But you will be expressing to the boss you want that raise or that higher position, and by all intent and purposes right now, yes indeed, Virgo rising, you may get what you want and be doing it with such charm and versatility. You're not going to know whether you're coming or going, Virgo rising. But yes, we still have Neptune there, so you must be clear and be cautious not to be getting into any conflicts or stepping on anyone's toes because of that strong, determined focus and ambitious nature right now, Virgo rising. Then we will have, yes, the planet of action, Mars, in your natal first house, and it will be Mars in Virgo from May 20th until July the 10th during the summer months for you, Virgo rising. And what does this mean with Mars, the planet of action, in your first house? But it's all about, well, you. This is a time you might be changing it up a little bit. Maybe you'll get that haircut. Maybe you'll really show everybody your personal stamp of style. Yes, indeed, Virgo rising. But in your effort to really put yourself out there and with all your amazing Virgo rising energy, yes, you will have to be very cautious with what you say and what you do, especially because Mars, the action planet, is in the communication sign of Virgo, and it is opposing to Neptune, the deceiver, in Pisces. So all relationships will come to the fore now, and that is love, family, work, you name it, all forms of communication and relationship. So in your effort to get things done, and with your amazing energy now, Virgo rising, you will have to be clear in your communication, state your intentions, and don't get into any needless conflicts with those that you are romantically connected with, or the public, or there may be some legal concerns right now that you will be putting much in the way of energy into. Just pull back a little bit on that energy too, Virgo rising, because you don't want to overtax your energy and stress yourself out with that Mars placement in Virgo. Then we move along to generous Jupiter in your eighth house in Aries. And Jupiter will be in Aries until May the 16th. But while Jupiter is in your eighth house, it's about joint resources and loans. Maybe you're going to be looking into that trust or will, or who knows, maybe you will be the generous recipient of a trust or will now. But certainly it's a good time to seek a loan. Maybe you will be getting out that mortgage or loan for that dream home that you've had, or other goals at this time, Virgo rising. Certainly it's a wonderful time for intimacy and about depth. And with Jupiter, it's going to be a very rewarding time to look into your personal spiritual beliefs. Who knows? Maybe that'll include astrology or the metaphysical. Yes, indeed. But then on May 16th, Jupiter, the generous, gregarious planet, will go into the sign of Taurus. And then on September 5th, it will flip back retrograde until December the 30th. So what does this mean for you, Virgo rising? Well, with Jupiter now in Taurus, which by the way is very compatible with your rising sign of Virgo, is all about the travel theme again. And with Jupiter, Jupiter doesn't do anything small. It's all about the grandiose and big-hearted, grand. Jupiter in your ninth house is all about a lot in the way of long distance travel. So don't be surprised this year, Virgo rising, you take that once in a lifetime trip, because Jupiter only goes through each sign every 12 years. Maybe it's a once in a lifetime trip. Maybe you're going to be taking many different trips and talking to, there's that theme again, many faces and going many places. Also, it's a great time for what, Virgo? Research, and you can relate to that, Virgo rising. Why? Because research or education will be very pivotal now, because Jupiter is connected with the ninth house, Sagittarius, and education. And speaking of which, you're going to be feeling the sense of freedom to change up some of your opinions and your beliefs now. Yes, Jupiter is all about fun in your ninth house. Definitely a higher mind and you expressing yourself in the best, Virgo rising. Then we've got Saturn. Yes, the planet of discipline, the planet of restriction, but also the planet of karma, Virgo rising, finishing up this year, 2023, in the sign of Aquarius. So lately, over the past 2 to 2.5 years, Virgo rising, you have been possibly feeling rather restricted with your work. Perhaps you're in a job where you want more freedom, and especially emphasized because you've got Saturn in the freedom-loving sign of Aquarius. Perhaps this is a time that you're going to seek a job that gives you the freedom. Maybe you want a job where you just have to check in at the office occasionally, or you're be able to get into a remote job where you work at home. But there's this hint on the need for freedom and liberation, especially since, yes, Saturn has been really trying your patience in the work area, or maybe you've had to take on a different job this year because other jobs have been, well, a little bit boring to say the least, Virgo rising. But remember, Saturn is the planet of karma. So even if you have had to change jobs over the last couple years and up until March 7th, while Saturn is still in Aquarius, there is some good there because maybe you finally landed that job, that dream job that you've always wanted. Or maybe you got a better job where you are in a position of authority, sixth house, and that is very rewarding for you. On other concerns with the Saturn in the sixth house, maybe there's been issues with coworkers or business associates. But this is also good in the long run because maybe those people will end up being your best friend in the long run. Good old planet of Saturn karma. But also, maybe there has been some activity in the area for you of health and wellness. And maybe there's been you taking your health very seriously now, or some concerns about health and wellness. But again, there too, Virgo rising, Saturn is the planet of karma. So at the end of the day, you are going to be more watchful about your health and your diet, and hey, you will discover greater and better health in the long run. Then we are going to have Saturn flipping forward into your seventh house of partnerships. And yes, indeed, Virgo rising, that will enter Pisces Saturn on March 7th. Then it will flip back retrograde on June 17th until November 4th when it goes direct once more. So, Saturn in Pisces. Now, do refer for further information, Saturn in the sign of Pisces video, because it will give you indeed more insight to what will happen now that Saturn is in the sign of Pisces. But basically, Virgo rising, Saturn in the sign of Pisces is about looking into our fears and what may give us a little bit in the way of anxiety and concern. And especially since Saturn is opposite your rising sign, it's going to be all about working on your relationships, partnerships of all kinds, whether that's work and especially dealings with the public. Yes, indeed. Yes, there could be communication issues. Yes, indeed, Virgo rising, there could be some issues with legal affairs, but again, there too, even in your seventh house for the next couple years, or their Virgo rising, you will have, yes, to focus on these issues, but at the end of the day, if you work on your partnerships, if you are working on some serious legal snafus right now, in the long run, it will be rewarding. Why? Because if you work on partnerships and relationships, they will be sticking around for the long haul. This may be somebody that you develop a lifelong partnership and relationship with, and your relationship will be for the better. But on the other end of the coin, Virgo rising, you may find that this is someone you may also have to close the book on. Maybe there's a relationship that you may find has been rather deceptive or rather trying, and you have to close the book. But this is always as connected with the planet of karma, Saturn, for the better. Then we will move along to the planet of Uranus. And Uranus this year again, Virgo rising, will remain in the sign of Taurus. and that will be in Taurus, and it will go direct on January the 22nd. It will flip back retrograde on August the 28th for the remainder of the year. So what is it about Uranus in your ninth house, Virgo rising? Uranus in your ninth house, yes, could trip you up a little bit with regards to long distance travel. So indeed, Virgo rising during this time frame, and especially during the retrograde phase from August 28th onward, you will have to zip up your travel plans and make sure you prepare for the unexpected. But with Uranus, because it's so unique and a bit unconventional and freedom loving, this is a time where you may discover what you really believe in. It's about what really makes you tick at this time. And maybe, yes, with shocking Uranus there, Virgo rising, you may say some shocking and unexpected, interesting, unusual things. But this is good because Uranus likes to mix it up a little bit, and it's good because it's about change, and change is always good for you, Virgo rising, especially since Uranus makes a sweet trine with your Virgo rising sign. And to add to this, yes, Uranus in Taurus meets up with generous Jupiter. So you may have some unexpected, guess what? Contracts this year that will be very financially and materially beneficial to you because the ninth house is about the contract. Or maybe you will be negotiating contracts that in the future could benefit you with your career, especially if you have Uranus on your midheaven. But nonetheless, expect the unexpected with possibly some ups and downs regarding a project, regarding research, or even possibly ups and downs connected with your education. But hey, this is a time for thinking differently now, Virgo, and enjoying speaking your mind and thinking a little differently. Then we've got Neptune. Yes, the deceiver, the confuser, but one of great compassion in your seventh house of relationships. And Neptune, Pisces, will be direct until June 30th of 2023, and then it will flip back retrograde and then go direct again on December 6th. So yes, this could be a confusing time for you, Virgo rising, with regards to your relationships, or because Neptune loves to be in Pisces, it could also be a time, especially when it conjoins Venus, of confusion or great love and great passion and compassion in all relationships. But with your Virgo sense of dissemination and your analytical outlook, Virgo, you will be able to discern, is this partnership or partnership and relationships good for you? Are they about honesty and love and compassion in the highest? Or are they about confusion and deception? So this year, Virgo, it will be kind of like a double-edged sword with Neptune in your seventh house. And this you've probably already discovered since Neptune's transit in your seventh house. And this year, you will look to the answers about all connections with partnerships, legalities, and maybe even some communication confusion with the public. But nonetheless, take a hint from Neptune there. always, when dealing with seventh house efforts, always choose kindness and empathy. Yes, indeed, and Neptune will reward you. But it is about, especially with Saturn there, working on all partnerships. Then we have the Pluto power planet in your fifth house. And so lately, with Pluto there over the past many years, Virgo rising, you've probably noticed that there's been some unusual individuals coming in and out of your life. Maybe they've wanted to control you, Pluto, especially with you unavailable, maybe even available or unavailable Virgo risings. Yes, because the fifth house is of love and it's of romance. And although maybe you've had some different suitors, maybe there's been some power plays with these individuals, or maybe you've just wanted to remain single. But Pluto there is also very serious about creativity and fun. But we're talking Pluto there, the power planet. So maybe you've had to forego some of that fun that you've wanted to do, and some of those vacations, because you've been focused more on your work, Virgo rising. Or maybe some of those children's interests right now are connections and communications with the kids or the grandkids. Well, and children's interests and the like have been a little bit uncertain, a little bit up and down with Pluto's presence in your fifth house. Or maybe you've been really taking seriously some of those artistic, creative hobbies. But now that Pluto in Capricorn is going to be moving, guess what, Virgo rising, into the sign of Aquarius on March the 23rd until May 1st. Now your focus will very briefly be into your sixth house of work. But even with the latter degrees of Pluto, the power planet in Capricorn, it will take on kind of an Aquarius hue. And what does that mean? Whether your fifth or sixth house, and the time for Pluto in Capricorn and Aquarius will be Pluto in Capricorn till March 23rd. Then it will zip along into Aquarius. May 1st, zip retrograde back again into Capricorn, June 11th, and then on October 10th, it will go direct again into Capricorn. So a lot of direct and retrograde activity. But whether your fifth house or your sixth house now, Virgo rising, the power planet of Pluto in Capricorn was all about, in these many years, all about power for power's sake. And you may have found that you've been working really hard, maybe stressing yourself out a little bit, Virgo rising. But with the latter degrees of Pluto in Capricorn, and of course in the sign of Aquarius this year, and once Pluto remains in the sign of Aquarius, all your goals have to have a greater meaning. Why? Because Aquarius, Virgo rising, is connected with our humanity, our friendliness. So right now, you may be considering a career connected with, who knows, technology, computers, or maybe you're going to get into some kind of a career where you will be connecting with your friends or group connections, and that will be very rewarding for you. Or who knows, Virgo rising, once especially Pluto goes into the sign of Aquarius, you might be thinking more about that invention and having that invention make money for you. But indeed, once Pluto goes into Aquarius, it's going to be taking very serious health and wellness once more. Yes, do watch your health while Pluto is in your sixth house, but Pluto is always, because it connects with the sign of Scorpio, about transformation. So maybe after Pluto leaves your fifth house and goes into your sixth house, Virgo rising, you will see that there was a great change and transformation with all fifth house efforts. Maybe you discover that you have to take more time for downtime and fun because you've been really putting maybe your work first, or maybe it's a time that you want to spend more time with the grandkids. So there was something good that came out of this time with the fifth house. But going into the sixth house, yes, be cautious over health, wellness, and do try to sidestep any conflicts with those you work with. But hey, it's a very humane, friendly sign of Pluto in Aquarius and joint and group efforts, and that connects with technology and the future will be suddenly very important to you now, Virgo rising. Then we're going to finalize 2023 with the eclipses, of which there are four. The first eclipse is a solar eclipse, and that is on April 20th at 29 degrees Aries, and that will shine a light with the solar eclipse and new moon in your natal eighth house of resources and joint resources. So this indeed will be a very memorable time for you, Virgo rising. Why? Because it's going to meet up with Jupiter before it switches to the sign of Taurus. So who knows, maybe you are going to be the recipient of an estate or a trust, or who knows, maybe you will do some important investing now, or as aforementioned, take out that important loan that will be put forth to some of your important goals and aspirations, or that mortgage right now where you could be getting into your dream house. But whatever it is, this solar eclipse new moon is definitely going to shine a light on all your depth and your inner sense of well-being in a very positive light. Then we've got a lunar eclipse on May 5th at 14 degrees of Scorpio, and that's going to be in your natal third house of communication, travel, and the like. And with a lunar eclipse and the full moon there, you will have to be very cautious of what you say and what you do now, Virgo rising. Perhaps you will have to do some repairs on a vehicle. Do be cautious when traveling. You want to make sure here too that all your travel plans are zipped up very well. And who knows? At the end of the day, maybe you will be doing some important writing. Perhaps you will finish up that blog or that book that you always wanted to put out there. Yes, indeed, Virgo rising. Then we have the next solar eclipse. Yes, we do, Virgo rising, and it will be in your second house of income. Oh my goodness, Virgo rising, and it is a solar eclipse new moon on October 14th at 21 degrees of Libra. So right now is going to be a very important time for you, Virgo rising, because you may see your bank balance grow. Maybe you're going to land that important project that you've been waiting on. Maybe you will see a kickback from some of those important investments, but certainly it is a time to focus on your money. And also, what you say now will have a special effect because the second house is about speech. Yes, indeed. So, what you say now, Virgo rising, with that solar eclipse and new moon will have a special effect. Who knows? People will be looking to you, Virgo rising, for some wise words and counseling. But yes, resources and money are going to be a bonus. Then finally, we've got the last eclipse, a lunar eclipse on October 28th at 5 degrees Taurus. There's that Taurus and ninth house emphasis, but is a lunar eclipse and full moon, especially if it connects up with your midheaven now. Yes, indeed, Virgo rising. Do make sure, kind of like connected with the third house, that you zip up all travel plans, but do also be careful about broadcasting your point of view, Virgo, because you just never know. It's a time with the full moon and the lunar eclipse. You don't want to, yes, create conflicts or, rub somebody the wrong way. It's a very sensitive time for you with this lunar eclipse in Taurus in your ninth house. So if you can just tone down on the communication, zip up your travel plans, then guess what, Virgo rising, you'll be just fine. So to finalize, Virgo rising, you've got an emphasis in your ninth house with both Uranus, the shocking planet, and the unexpected planet, and yes, later on in the year, generous Jupiter. So it's going to be all about speaking your mind, changing things up a little bit with regards to your personal belief system. And yes, doing much in the way of travel and meeting new people and going many places. But it should be rather fun. But you will have to be cautious, especially during Uranus retrograde phase, of zipping up some of those travel plans, because you do not want to get into any unexpected travel snafus or the like. But nonetheless, later on with generous Jupiter, it's all about different cultures, possibly going back to school, and who knows, maybe you may even think about a career in education or even travel or even something to do with different cultures and languages, because Jupiter is all about bringing you a bonus and prosperity. Also, it is this year about your career, especially early on the year when Mars goes direct in your 10th house. Yes, you may develop many different careers or make that special hobby into a career, but nonetheless, again here too, it's going to be all about traveling and communicating with different places and different faces. But do be careful during the time of Mars in Gemini with the square off with Neptune of conflicts. If you can avoid that, it will be a very rewarding time for you, Virgo rising, with any and all communications. Hey, did you want to write that book now, Virgo rising? And it's going to be about relationships, because we've got Neptune in Pisces, and then early we've got Saturn in Pisces in your whole sign 7th as well. Yes, your relationships will be of utmost importance. It will either be about deception or confusion with partnerships, legal affairs, and dealing with the public in general, yes. But equally with Neptune there, it's all about imbuing all your communications with empathy, kindness, and so on. And if you can do that and balance everything out, then this year will be a very memorable year for you, Virgo rising. And yes, best of luck for you, Virgo rising, for 2023.